session, so I would request everyone to please be seated. We now move on to our next session, Pro AV Project Market Challenges and Opportunities, where the session will put forward the questions: are established AV consultants and systems integrators in sync with innovation and upgrade in product and technology? Is IoT smart building the next big opportunity for established players like systems integrators? Are retail, education, or hospitality verticals big opportunity for next players entering the SI space, and opportunities in the government sector? To take over this session, I would like to call on stage moderator Mustafa Rampurwala, Head Projects Solutions India Systems Private Limited, and panelists Narendra Naidu, Chairman and Managing Director, Rhino Engineers; Sachin Jain, Principal Consultant, Play Technologies; Manik Gupta, Managing Director, Harvey Design; and Puneet Rastogi, Managing Director, Solutions India Systems Private Limited. Before we begin with the session, I would like to introduce our panelists. Mustafa Rampurawala is a seasoned IT sales professional with over 2 decades of experience in the industry. In 2004, he joined SISPL as a sales manager for neck projectors and displays and went on to conceptualize and establish the AV Systems Integration Division in 2005. Mr. Narendra Naidu is Chairman and Managing Director of Rhino Engineers Private Limited. He has more than 38 years of rich and practical field experience. He has been nominated as AV Consultants for Statue of Unity Prize Determination Committee member and Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Sachin Jain is an award-winning technology architect with over 20 years of experience. His projects have won awards and recognitions globally and distributed across various verticals. Manik Gupta is a thorough professional with an experience of 18 plus years in the AV industry. He is among the top AV professionals in the country with internationally recognized CTSD, CTSI, AV certifications, and has been recognized among top 40 under 40 AV professionals in Asia by Innovate Asia Pacific in 2019. Also, as the managing director of SISPL, Puneet Rastogi has tried to rub off his passion for AV to as many as team members that he has been with. The team has achieved many milestones in technical and commercial segments with the aim to educate the customers and stakeholders, curating the best AV solutions for them. I will request the audience to give a huge round of applause for these panelists, and now we may begin the session.
Good evening, friends. Am I too loud or am I too low? Is it okay? Wonderful. So, a warm welcome to you all for this particular panel discussion. Today, we are discussing something which is very close to our hearts, connected to each and everybody who's connected to AV, right from the consultants to systems integrator, to the manufacturer and the customer as well. So we are talking about Pro AV, professional AV. We have seen that definition of Pro AV is very dynamic. It keeps on changing. The scope is completely infinite. We involve our ideas and we are making AV as a necessity now, which was kind of a wish list about 10 years back. Moving ahead with the kind of projects which we have been doing with enterprise, then we are moving on to retail, education, government, and very recently we have seen a lot of scope for places of worship, museums, and places of general interest, which has been done by government and the other institutes. So we have seen a lot of successful projects completed flawlessly in recent past. And there are many in the pipeline right away. We have seen that these projects are very attractive. We always appreciate them. But having said that, we understand that there are a lot of attributes attached to those kind of projects. First is that how does a consultant or an integrator get to know about these projects? I'm sure there are a lot of secrets about it, so we'll reveal some secrets today. Then, what are the challenges in designing and executing this kind of projects? Very different from the enterprise kind of solutions or educational solutions. So, we are talking about places of worships, museums, places of general interest, and how do we overcome all those challenges? So, to discuss and unfold some secrets, we have our wonderful panel members who are subject matter experts and AV industry pioneers. And with them, I would take this opportunity to start this discussion. So, moving on with Mr. Naidu, who is amongst one of the stalwarts of the AV industry. Sir, we have seen the current state of AV market and, how to be at the right place and at the right time. That is what is the key. So, can you highlight how do we do that?
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon and good evening to all. Thank you, Mustafa, for asking such a challenging question. When you talk about big ticket projects or largest scale of project, it doesn't come overnight. So there are something which is being prepared quite months ago, and there are certain groundwork has been taking place. There are discussion which is taking place among the client. And the important role of the consultant, who's the first person on behalf of the AV industry, who's able to put the best effort to convince and conceive the project. So the right time is definitely depend on the necessity of the project. Most of the time, project have been designed quite a different location and different time. But the necessity, for example, I especially talk about in a large project example, just giving a temple located at Ambaji. And that project was conceived almost 2013. Okay, 10 years. Presentation was done, shown to government, and it was convinced by the chief ministers and other minister. But somehow other it did not work. One find is suddenly they used to get the call that after 11 years the project conceived. Sometimes so happen, this is an example. Sometimes so happen, second example of Statue of Unity. Everybody was knowing there is a statue is going to build which is going to be the tallest statue of the world. So there, other than the statue, what is attraction? So that is very fast, quickly on tomorrow basis. So these two are 180-degree examples. So it is right time is depend on the necessity of the project, justification of the project, and mainly the funding of the project.
So my question here would be that you say that the temple at Ambaji took 10 years to materialize. So how do you have that kind of patience to wait for 10 years for one project?
Well, we everybody knows that we are putting efforts for 10 projects. Everybody knows. Out of which you get success of 25 or 30%. Means two or three projects get success. It doesn't mean that you have to work for all those two or three projects. You have to work for 10 projects. You have to prepare all presentation. You have to prepare the estimation cost. You have to prepare the design. You are providing the slot system to the client that from A to Z or 1 to 10, these are the project, you get fits or you get fit into this any one. But you have to work for 10. You can't escape.
So taking that question to another consultant, my dear friend Sachin, as Naidu sir said, that government projects take a lot of time to cook, and by the time it's ready on the platter, it may or it may not come. Whereas when we talk about enterprise designing, how different it is from the government perspective?
Thank you, Mustafa, for having me on the panel, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Continuing on what Naidu said, I mean, he said about government, and now the question is, how does that vary from what we look at an enterprise or in the, the private customer segment? Now, in private customers, typically the whole way of conceptualization is a little different than how it happens in the government sector. In this case, they are typically what we observe is the budgets are planned. They may not have the final budgets, but they have, a clarity of thought in mind that this is a transformation that we need to do, and this is something that we need to spend, because for them this is business, and whatever they are going to be doing is to enhance their business as well. So in enterprise, typically when a requirement comes in, they turn around and the waits are not so long. Maybe they may take time to decide between various players or vendors who approach them, but the decision making is much faster because they've already decided that this is something that we need to do, which comes from the top leadership. Having said that, of course, there are 10% of cases wherein they are also looking at something which they are budgeting, and they are kind of putting it up to the upper management, where things may not get approved or it may not move. But on 9 out of 10 cases in enterprises, your waits are not too long. If it's a very large project, you're looking at a wait of, for the decision to be made, about 6 months or 8 months. It's not 11 years for sure. Otherwise, between a couple of months, that's where the decisions take place and they move on. So they are much faster, smaller cycles of decision making and execution.
So what I can figure out from what Sachin said is that in enterprise we work with a different mindset. Plus we have a fixed timeline that we have to start the project on an X time and complete it on an Y time. Whereas government is something where you conceptualize, and if it flies, it flies. Otherwise, we don't get to see that project executed. So moving on to this discussion from Sachin to Mr. Puneet, you have been, heading an organization, and you have been an systems integrator for more than now 27, 28 years. How do you feel that, or what kind of factors influence that if you have to get into the kind of projects what Mr. Naidu is talking about, how does an AVSI who's focused on enterprise can get an entry into the government projects? What factors would influence your entry into government?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Real pleasure to have you, and thank you for having us on the panel. So Mustafa's question is related to the fact that how easy is it for enterprise integrator to think about government business?
Absolutely. So, coming out from a mindset of enterprise where you have, a fixed frame mindset that yes, the project has to start and complete, and going into government where that yes, you can enter, but when the project is going to end is not known. So how do you enter into that kind of domain?
So we have, our expertise or our offering to our clients is mostly in the price space. So we have dabbled with a few opportunities in the government space. And in the government space, what we find is there are multiple factors which actually are attached to any project. And most of them are related to availability of budget. So if, unlike in an enterprise scenario, like how Sachin mentioned, we have budgets available or planned for the next subsequent year, and they have to be expected. In case of government project, it is not necessarily that those funds. Of course, there is a mandate by government that if they do not utilize the funds, it will lapse. But then funds are available for them on subsequent quests. But more than that, it is the entire process, because there is an entire machinery within the system that needs to be followed by the government employees. They have to be very watchful of all the processes. They have to comply to all their processes. There are regular audits, there is regular vigilance, and there are a lot of processes to be fulfilled. And these are, of course, to be factored in. The other things which we need to also factor in, that these are all people who may have transferable jobs. So if they are in the midst of a buying cycle, they would maybe not be there when the project comes to a maturity stage. So there would be somebody else who would come in, and then there would be influence on that particular project decision making. So we have seen all these things happen, and with our experience, it is very challenging to work in such an environment and be able to adapt continuously to different requirements of different sets of people within the whole government business. So all in all, it's very challenging, and it builds up a lot of patience, and it requires a lot of I would say stability and clarity of thinking. But it is nevertheless a very important constituent in any enterprise business, because even government is not entirely similar, but there are within government also, there are autonomous companies, there are PSUs, there are central government, there are state government. So everybody has their own set. So it's very important for any company to know exactly how the decision making happens.
So again, we conclude that we have a lot of uncertainty when it comes to government projects. As Mr. Puneet rightly mentioned, that there are a lot of political conditions which are attached to those kind of projects. And yes, we need a mindset to work on those kind of projects with that kind of machinery. So, now the question goes to the man who has been there, who has done that, Mr. Manik Gupta. So the person who has been playing around with the government projects for quite long, and I'm sure he knows how to survive and how to swim through all those challenges. So all back to you, Manik. Can you just highlight the challenges and how you have been successful all this while?
Sure. Thank you, Mustafa ji. First of all, good evening and welcome everyone. And thank you for having me here today. And everybody has answered beautifully the questions that you asked them, and with the perspective they have worked in. So I'm going to answer this question in a very different perspective. So I kind of not agree with you completely when we say that there is a lot of uncertainty in government projects. See, government, so for example, if somebody is working in an enterprise and he wants to get, started working in a government project, I think the first thing which he really needs to understand is building relationship with the customer, because his job is at stake. Because whatever you are designing, because he's not somebody who's very technical, he is believing in you. And his job is at stake if something goes wrong, because it's not privately owned, and he has people to answer. So you have to be very, very careful in that. So you have to build up that conviction in him that you are the right partner, right company to work with, and you have enough technical strengths, design strengths, technical strengths. Of course, there will be consultants on board, but then to execute the project, you need to have that kind of technical knowledge and strength to to support those designs. That's one. Second, I think you need to also have a lot of financial strength, because when working in a government project, you need to understand that there are a lot of advanced financial investments which needs to be done. Like you have to pay an EMD, you have to do a PBG, you have to do ABGs. And your money is retained for a certain long period of time. So of course we need to have that kind of financial strength. We need to have enough support from the OEMs. We need to have good connects with the OEMs, because we just can't do it by ourselves. We have to have a backup support from the OEMs, because when you are working in a very important, government building space. And if something goes wrong, you need to have that support on the hardware from the OEMs, which you need to keep them, aware of in advance. Because, many a times you have seen in private, they would just go in for some spares and things like that, but probably in government projects, we don't have that kind of provisioning. So we need to have those spares ready with us, either in our warehouse, or we need to keep it ready with the OEMs and, keep it available so that, we are able to deliver. Because Prime Minister is not going to wait for you to come with spares and, complete the, rectify the issue. So I think patience, like, all of us just mentioned that patience is very important. Yes, patience is the key, because there are multiple levels of approvals which are required. There are multiple, at times if it is a big project, the budget approvals have to go up to the ministry and then come back. And like Puneet ji also mentioned that, many a times by the time the approval comes, the bureaucracy changes and, the team changes. But let me tell you, if a project has to happen in government, like, Naidu sir also mentioned, it will happen. It will, eventually happen. So if you have worked on a project, you have worked hard on a project and it has gone to the ministry level, I think we have seen that most of the projects, like 8 out of 10 projects will get, finalized. Of course, we need to be patient. Maybe this year or maybe within 6 months or maybe immediately. In fact, you won't believe certain projects, if you have that kind of, a relationship with the client, he may just ask you to just execute the project and do the tender at a later stage. I don't know if I'm allowed to even quote this or not, but the point is, see, the idea is that, you have to support the customer. Worst case scenario, what will it be? We have to take back the system. But then you have to have that kind of support structure for your client, because their job is at stake. So this is, I feel, is, these kind of strengths are very much, you have to have that mindset of working in the government business. But let me tell you, India has arrived. I mean, the kind of projects, the big ticket projects which are there, government projects are going to drive the AV industry in future. In next 10 years is of India. And I think the biggest projects, be it, in any vertical, be it medical, be it transport hubs, be it education, be it museums, be it, any vertical which you name, I think government is investing big time, and they have realized the potential of, the AV solutions in creating experiential spaces. So I think, I mean, we are very happy doing this. Thank you.
So as Manik mentioned, that it's all about commitment and having a wonderful backup. So he said that you need to have a lot of patience. So like how you run a 100-meter or 200-meter race versus how you run a marathon. I'm sure Manik would relate to why I am saying this, because Manik has a lot of patience, because he is a old-time marathon runner. He has been running marathon since years now, so he has a lot of patience, a lot of backup. So that's how the patience is. And Naidu sir was also smiling on this commitment thing. So moving on from that discussion and taking certain pointers from what Manikji said, is that it's not only about getting the project, it's more about how you execute it. And how you execute it requires a lot of technical understanding. You need support from the manufacturers and having a wonderfully trained team within your own organization. So taking that point, I want to just check with Sachin over here, that as an consultant, how do you see that, what is the use of having technically trained staff within your organization?
Hello. Yeah. I think it's extremely important to have a technically trained staff, because if you don't have technically trained staff, you are not going to be able to give the most relevant solution and the most innovative solution you are not going to be on top of whatever R&D, new offerings, you know, solutions that evolve around technology or revolve around technology of the future. So if your staff is not trained, they don't deep dive into what's being offered by the OEMs, what are the new solutions into the market. When you go to a customer, you would be still be building solutions that are probably 5 years older, and by the time you complete a project, that project might just not be relevant with the latest technologies. So I think it's very, very important to have that push of training, technical certifications, engagement with OEMs with their new offerings. So that's a must to give the most relevant solution to your customers that is going to survive for the next 5 years, 7 years for them, and is going to make sense and be relevant to them even then. So the project that you execute is not from the, from a point of view that it's just relevant for a year. It's for years to come.
So again, we are talking about commitments to the customer, and since Sachin is designing a lot of enterprise projects, so when we talk to companies, their IT heads, their CTOs, their CEOs, they are all technically trained, and they know quite a bit of the technology, what we are going to suggest them. So definitely we need to have a proper handshake between the technology and our team. And with the same mindset, I would go back to Mr. Puneet, being an integrator who has been working in the enterprise segment. How important do you feel that having a technically trained team to design and implement the systems according to the customer satisfaction is important?
Yeah. So it is actually quite a no-brainer sort of a question. The answer is extremely important because the quality of your technical expertise is what differentiates you from others. So that is a very important point. The quality of the technical expertise also differentiates the workmanship. So as an integrator who is working on projects where most of the meetings are critical, most of the meetings are, maybe MD's meetings or CEO's meetings, they are extremely critical, and we cannot depend on people who have practically no expertise or very little expertise to run on those projects. It is most critical to deploy only the best quality of people and best quality of technical expertise in these scenarios. Also because these are high investments, these are high quality, high precision machines. They need to know about it. Anybody who just does some research on Google or some other websites is not adept to even touch the equipment. They need to undergo proper training. They need to undergo proper understanding of how the technology works, what is the technology or what is the functionality that is to be delivered. So it is absolutely a very no-brainer kind of a thing that without any expertise, nobody should touch any AV project.
So why we discussed on this topic with the consultant and the integrator is that how does the customer identify that who's the right consultant and who's the right integrator for him? So this is a very important criteria that the moment the team goes and interacts with the customer, that creates an impression that yes, he is the right integrator or he is the right consultant who can do justice to my investments and who can give me a proper ROI. So moving with that understanding from enterprise technology is evident, and I'm sure as Naidu ji has designed a lot of projects. Sir, how easy or how difficult it is to explain the technology or concepts to the kind of customers you are dealing with, and how do you tackle that?
Well said, this is one of the biggest challenge to work with the government. Since I've been working with the government sector for last 3 or 4 decades, first and foremost, government engage the consultant because the consultant should know more than the contractor and more than the client. Point number one. Then you will call as a consultant, right? Number two, if you are engaged as a consultant to the government, 85% of the government staff doesn't know about the technology. So you have to start the coaching classes, teach them, and when you start teaching them, they will ask abruptly random question for which you get irritated. But still, you have to get so much of patience. Again, they read between the lines. They go between the law. They think anything happens, it should be documented, written, and referred. For example, if I want to show some technology, so I show this is the concept design for this location, but I have to show them the reference. This kind of thing is happened or in somewhere in the world is doing like that. Oh, okay, then we can go. If you want to do out of the box something new, they will not take the risk. Until unless they want to please the higher politicians or higher ministers and all, they go ahead. So big challenge to teach highly educated illiterate person. This all government people are IAS officers, big people. So they don't understand technology, but they want result. And they will take 6 months, 8 months, but they want project to be executed at the shortest time. The file will move for months together, but project should come out. So rightly Manik said, many times he does, I was smiling, without tender also he does the work. Thereafter he may receive the work order or not. So he is taking this and he perfectly gauge the vein of the government officer and requirement, right? They want, कल रात को उद्घाटन है, आपको आना है और इसको चालू करना है, खत्म. How, where, when, don't know. कहाँ से पैसा आएगा? But people like Manik are confident, yes, the money lies only in government of 100%. You will get the money, not today, tomorrow, after years. Your money is reserved. In enterprise, that fellow will say, भैया तुमने बहुत काम कर लिया, तुम्हारा 10% तुमने ज़्यादा है, इसको छोड़ दो अभी जाओ, दूसरा प्रोजेक्ट देंगे. You left with nothing. Government में they will take your money 10% and keep it security deposit. कि जब तक सही नहीं करोगे वो 10% नहीं मिलेगा. Right? Then you have to get engaged yourself for 5 years. Every year will be paid 5%, 7% like that, 5 years. So you are getting married to a government entity with a very great job. I call it's a very tough job. The government fellow can work only with the government and private fellow can work only with the private. I know that. Both can work, both the side. But the government is government. He's a satta. He's the Raja. Thank you.
सर एज राइटली सेड कि मानिक भाई ने तो पल्स पकड़ के रखी है गवर्नमेंट की. तो अब मानिक भाई, हाउ डू यू फेस kind of technology challenges within your team and how you have been able to keep them intact in all these years, keeping the customers happy, because that's what our motive is. End of the day, everybody who's sitting here, their only motive is to keep the customers happy, whether it is enterprise, whether it is government. We are here to give a smile on the customer's face when you walk out of the door. So government has more expectations, they are more demanding. So you need to have those kind of technically trained people and not somebody whom you hire every year and then you keep on changing them. So how do you handle and manage this?
All right, I think it's a very, very good question, and I will also quote Naidu sir and Puneet ji. I will just add on to what they said. So I think technical is one side of the story, one side of the coin. If you are working in government, I feel whether you're working in government or you're working in a private sector, my team is sitting here and I keep telling them technical is only 20% of the whole story. 80% is your communication with them, how well you are available for them when they need you, how well you are able to capture their requirement. Capturing the requirement is also something which we really, really focus on, because people will just have 2 minutes on capturing the requirement. In fact, I personally feel that we should spend the most amount of time on understanding what he's not saying, rather than just going by what he's saying. So, for example, I mean, if we are working with a client who is a government school client, now he expects you to design a world-class system, but you understand that for him the world-class system would be, you have to define that. So you can't just go by what he's saying. You have to understand his requirement. You have to understand who the audience is. You have to understand how and how many times this system is going to be used, what applications this system is going to be used. So these are not technical things. These are basic common sense things. So I think capturing the requirement is, I personally feel, is one of the most important things in dealing with a client. Having yourself available when he needs you is also very, very important. Now coming to the technical side of it. Now, like everybody said, being technical is very, very important. Of course, you have to keep yourself updated. You have to keep your team, motivated. So what we have done is, we have incentivized the technical, you can say, learning in our organization. So for example, we have said that, if anybody does a CTS, he is going to be incentivized, and he will, his fee for the CTS will also be paid, and he will also be incentivized. And on top of that, he will also be given a growth at the end of the year when there are growth reviews. So I think we need to keep our technical team motivated. Sales team is motivated. They know that, okay, if they do this target, they'll get this incentive. But what about the technical team? We need to also incentivize the efforts being put by them, the initiatives being taken by them. And one more thing which I'll add, I'm sorry, I'm taking a little extra time on this. I think we need to also educate the client for him to understand what we are trying to explain him. Because his team, he and his team is like, Naidu sir said that it's, they are not technical people. They are very educated people, but they are capable of understanding the subject. So we need to take initiatives to also educate the client now and then on the basic fundamentals of audio, video, control, and other things which are required in our systems, so that they are, when the requirement comes, they understand our language, what we are trying to tell them. So this is, I think, this also builds a lot of, I think, goodwill among the client for you, that, you are coming out of the way with nothing to take back, and giving that knowledge to our team. So we conduct a lot of sessions with Airport Authorities of India, with CPWDs, PWDs, where we call all of them and we just talk about basic fundamentals. At times we talk about basic technologies. We also talk about products which we sell, but adding some value to their existing knowledge. I think that works very well for us.
Moving on from technology to human resource, question common to all the panelists here is, what kind of initiatives or what kind of steps are being taken by AVSI community, which includes all of us, people who are related to AV, to get fresh new talent into the industry? We have seen that AV is a very niche, very premium segment where the fresh students who come out of the college at times don't even know that this kind of an industry exists. So how do you make AV as a kind of a sought after industry and a career option to those people who, the technical brains, or the sales pioneers of tomorrow, to come into the industry? So starting from Naidu sir, sir, how do you see this happening, and what kind of steps do you think we as AVSI community should take to have fresh new talent into the industry?
Well said, Mustafa. You have touched to the current pain of every person who's sitting here. Everybody is, hunting for the manpower who has got knowledge about AV. Unfortunately, in our colleges and university does not cover this requirement. What we do, we take, experienced or unexperienced fresher people, and you become professor as an honor, and you try to teach them in-house Why? Because that is the requirement of the day. But as a society, Manik has well said, again talk about the CTS. So the affordability of the CTS, one, the economy of the CTS, two, the intelligence of the person to clear the CTS, three. I find, because I've been working with the Infocom for so many years as a volunteer, as a board member, try to give the lecture, make people understand. So we have initiated last 2-3 years with the help of AVICN that train people with the low budget, with the basic fundamental requirement, what is AV. That helps the attraction of common person or non-technical. I was giving lecture yesterday for the first audio day. Manik, you won't believe, there were 5 to 6 female candidates. I asked who are the technical people, so say around 40% technical, rest all were non-technical. I was happy that, females plus non-technical people also interested to know about AV. I always give an example, a sweeper, jhadu wala, is also having the smartphone, right? He knows what are the function. He might not be having the food for his, tomorrow. So technology has gone to that level. The vendors on the streets are having the UPI barcode and all. They were not having. So technology is growing rapidly. Okay, but we are lacking. So it is our duty to see that at least 100, 200 people per year we give back to the society whatever knowledge we have. Gather people, go privately in your in-house, in your office, train them. If you don't do that, the vacuum is going to, huge. Then what you are doing, you're converting an IT guy into AV. And again, same back, problems are started. Because IT minds are separate, AV minds are separate, you know that. Okay, so we must contribute everyone, teach them in your office, in your circle, in your community, give some time, do noble cause. 1 hour, at least in 1 month, you can give to people. And thus, we can create, a good amount of education for basic AV. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naidu Sahab. It is actually very welcoming coming from a person like you. So, Sachin ji, your take on it. How do you intend to give it back to the industry?
So I'm going to answer this question in 2 parts. So the first part is like, Naidu Saab said, Manik said, in-house training. So I think it's been more than 10 or 12 years, or actually more than that, since I have been teaching people who become a part of our organization, been training them, teaching them the concepts of AV, walking them to different aspects as we work at work, trainings that come from the AVIXA portal and otherwise that comes from manufacturers. So that is an initiative that we have to take because unfortunately, you rightly mentioned, AV is not something, a specialization that is being taught in the universities, colleges or schools. So it's something probably a lot of us probably met, was an accident that we ended up in the AV industry. So it was not something that we actually ended up because we decided in college that we are going to be, people decide they're going to be doctors, engineers, software engineers, IT, this, that. I have not heard anybody saying I'm going to be a AV engineer or I'm going to be in the AV industry. So that, I don't think that happens. So, when people join an industry, so we have to be teaching them, we have to be training them, we have to be walking them to different standards, different concepts, and eventually, people start learning about it. It's a big learning curve. Now to answer your question, how is it that we could have more people enter the AV industry? How do you make it look like a career opportunity for people? So I think, as individuals, yes, we can go and we can talk and but there's a very limited scope that we have as an individual. I think it's associations that can take that initiative of reaching out, pushing in more information or educating aspiring students about what a career in AV industry means, probably tying up with certain autonomous universities or having some particular courses introduced in the college at the university levels, which talks about AV, people are kind of, intrigued by what audio, video, media and everything is. The entertainment world is very intriguing. So, but if, aspiring engineers can be given an insight into what the sound production is, video production is, sound engineering is, or AV design is. So right when we start doing that from the college level is when you will have probably more workforce coming into this industry, because their minds would have been shaped. Currently their minds are shaped towards, joining an IT industry, becoming a developer, tester or whatsoever. But there's nothing that inculcates or is molding their minds to be in the AV industry. So I think we have to be back there, more proactive in shaping their minds to come inside this industry rather than being reactive at a later point of time once they have graduated, and they are already taking their direction. So that's my take. Their associations will have to take that lead. We will have to help the associations. Again, just an association cannot do. Probably all of us will have to come together, do whatever it takes. Take guest lectures, become visiting faculty, talk to students, talk to them about careers, and go there while we do the training to keep our current workforce in line with the latest technologies. So it's going to be a two-pronged strategy that I feel we need to take.
Absolutely. Everybody has to give their bit back to the industry in whatever way we can. Mr. Puneet, you have been leading a team of about more than 150 people for so many years in different regions. I'm sure you have a different experience on how do you get technical staff, or you get freshers and you train them, and what is going to be the future now?
Yeah, actually, with my experience, I feel that there are different ways to handle this problem and tackle this problem. One way to handle this problem is basically as a person who is technical himself or somebody who understands technology. It is very important for you to rub off this passion to your team. If you are extremely passionate about audio and video, and you feel that you send across the message to your team that what we are doing is actually bringing a smile to a customer's face, and that is the biggest sense of achievement. There is a lot of pride that we should take in our work and deliver it to the customer and actually demonstrate that we have made a meaningful difference to their lives. And that is something which we always undermine. This may not be tangible per se, but this builds a lot of satisfaction, brings a lot of joy. At the end of the day, when I think what I did today, did I make a customer smile, is something which I think we should percolate down to the team. And that is where, everybody is aligned to that thought. The second is never give up. So every time there's an opportunity where we need to recruit, we look out for fresh talent, we identify fresh talent, we make them believe that they can make a meaningful career in by choosing AV as their career choice. And keep on addressing their needs for training, keep on addressing their needs for learning, and basically give them the same hunger that we started off with, and make them feel that this is something where if they know something, people would respect them. See, it is very easy. The only thing which brings respect is knowledge and money. So we focus on the knowledge part of it. So let's focus on the knowledge part of it, where if we inculcate that feeling that if you have the knowledge, you will never be hungry for money.
Absolutely, rightly mentioned. So if you have the knowledge, if you have the passion, money will follow you. You don't need to follow money to have knowledge and passion. Absolutely to the point, as an integrator, as a leader, now with the same understanding, Manikji, you too, being an integrator, have a big workforce. a lot of technical people, and all passionate about AV, and all having only one focus to wow the customer, to have that satisfaction level. How do you retain your team, or how do you ensure that you give something more to the industry back?
So I think all of us have been talking about charity, giving back, but let me tell you, I mean, these millennials, we are talking about millennials, right? The freshers.
Absolutely.
So they are more intelligent than us. At least they think they are. Okay. So I think we don't and मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये हमें कच्चा चबा के खा सकते हैं. मतलब हम सोचते हैं ये बच्चे हैं और हमें गिव बैक करना है. But I think jokes apart, but definitely I think today the millennials are very smart, very sharp, and if you give them the right logic, I think there's no looking back. They can really put in that passion, create that passion, put in that hard work, learn. So I think we have been doing that since past many years. All our technical team, whichever, so we have a big technical team, design team, and, a lot of, I would say, application team also. 85%, 80, 85, 90% of that team has been hired by us from the colleges. So maybe just 5 or 10% of the people are somebody who we have hired with an experience. Most of the team have been trained and, they have been with us for a very, very long time. And a lot of them have moved out, gone to OEMs, and now they are, some of them are working very closely with consultants. They are a part of consultants team. So the thing is that, from day one, we need to make sure that we give them, we give them, enough importance in terms of that you are important to us. So like you said, retaining, you need to show your trust on them. You need to, I would say, give them more challenges, more opportunities, and all of that is on one side, but you need to also give them space to make mistakes. We should be looking at why this mistake was made rather than who made this mistake. So I think that is something which I have been also, kind of having an approach with my team, that you need to, we need to keep improving ourselves. We need to keep learning from our mistakes. So I think that positive space, if we give them, and of course the technical knowledge, the trainings, basic fundamental knowledge, OEM trainings, having them in these exhibitions, attend these seminars, know more and more. And one more thing which is very, very important is that once they come out of the college, they have a habit of sitting in a classroom and a professor teaching them. So the day one, what I tell them is, this is not a college. This is not a classroom. So we are going to give you a direction, but you have to walk that path. You have to start taking initiatives if you want to grow, if you want to really learn fast. And unless you learn fast, unless you grow, in terms of your knowledge, your growth will be stagnant. So I think, and we also need to tell them what growth is possible in terms of, financially, if they perform or if they do a certain task. So I think somewhere both financial and the technical, we need to keep them motivated. We need to keep them informed. We need to give them, lot of opportunities, but also not take too much ownership of what they are doing. They have to take the ownership of what they are doing. Give them the right direction. Keep evaluating them. Keep doing your reviews and keep giving them direction. So I think that is something which really motivates the youngsters, because if you really start doing micro level planning with, or micro level poking
Management,
with them,
basically.
management with them, I think they don't like it. They say, "Arey, you have given us a task. Now however we do it, we'll do it. Give us some space to do it in our way." And I think that works for us a lot. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's a wonderful perspective. I've got so many things from what Manik said. That first is you empower. You empower the new talent, give them the freedom, give them the freedom to make mistakes. Rather than punishing them, make that as a cost of learning. And that's what, ensures that we don't learn at the customer's cost. So we learn at our cost. So definitely everybody needs freedom, everybody needs power, and with that they need money. So let us give everything to this new generation whom we welcome into the AV industry. I see there is a lot of people here. I'm sure they may not be too experienced in AV, but yes, trying to make a career out here. Yeah, so I would keep this forum open now for some questions from the people who are here. So if you have any questions, there are pioneers sitting. Please take pearls of wisdom.
Hello. Hello. Uh, Hi, I'm Mrityunjay. Suppose somebody wants to be into the. Fellow is sleeping. Hello. 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 Yeah. So hi, I am Mrityunjay. So suppose somebody wants to interact with someone who is pioneer into the AV industry. So is there any existing ecosystem so that he can go there and ask any question, anyone he wanted? I think you have to repeat. Please see that.
Can we pass this mic, please?
Thank you. I am Ritunjaya. So suppose if any newcomer wants to interact with a pioneer into this industry, so I want to know, is there any existing ecosystem where he can go and ask any type of questions or anything? That's my question to you all.
Welcome to the industry, Mitul, first.
Thank you.
And this industry is very closely knit. The moment you enter into the industry in any form, you are definitely going to be in midst of a lot of experienced people. Any of the OEM sessions what you attend, any of the sessions like how we are doing today, the AVICN or the other organizations conducting this kind of sessions, the moment you get into those kind of sessions, you have a lot of panelists. We have some of the well-known name of the industry with us. So definitely there are direct connects what you can get, and the panel is open for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to connect with us post this discussion as well.
Sure.
And we shall be more than happy to assist you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So I think we had a lot of topics which we have covered today, and right from how the government market has been shaped to how do we have the technical team in place, and lastly how do you have newcomers into the industry. And on the social note, we ended this discussion saying that what do you have and what do you give back to the industry again. So this concludes our panel discussion today. Thank you AVIC, and thank you all the panelists, Narendra Naidu ji, Sachin Jain ji, Puneet Rastogi ji, Manek Gupta ji, for having us. Okay, we have a question. Okay, great.
Hello, sir. I'm Pranchu Pandey, and I'm also new in this industry. So I want to ask all the panelists, like we are going to meet our client, and if the client is not showing that good response, so what will be the agenda or any mantra what we keep in mind after visiting the client and we go again with a good energy? What we can offer them?
It's a secret to be revealed. So I just leave this open to the panel who would want to take this question. No. This is for the benefit of all.
So you'll have different probably point of views from me and Naidu ji, and probably from Manik ji and Puneet ji. So from our perspective, see, when you go to a client, and I understand that you would be from, I don't know, are you from sales?
Yes, I am from management, sales.
You're from sales, right? So one thing, always bear in mind, not every customer that you meet or every prospect that you meet is going to be a conversion. And I understand that, you know, and I think we've all been through that in our earlier days. Uh, y- you just have to keep being consistent in pushing your solutions or explaining your solutions to your customer one after the other, the right solutions. As long as you're giving them the right solution, one of them will come back to you. And even if they don't come back, keep your energy and consistency up, and there'll be conversions happening. Maybe the first 5 may not happen, the 6th will happen, the 7th will happen. But do not, get feel depressed or dejected by the failures, that comes your way. It's just a learning. You're just learning through the way, and analyze what went wrong. Try to figure out, if your a case is lost, always try to figure out what was the reason that the case was lost and you did not get it. There could be certain reasons, and then in the next case you ensure that you don't really, end up making the same mistakes. So it's just a gradual progression and gradual learning. And, as years pass by, probably you'll have 9 conversions out of 10. So, I mean, it's something that, Mustafa ji also, he's a moderator. I think I would actually want him to also take, take this question.
I have been doing sales all my life. अभी थोड़ा सा profile change हो गया है, so I am sitting here as a moderator. So, Pranshul, don't get demotivated. First of all, keep your energies to the top level. Empathize. Empathy is the only thing which will take you to the customer's mind. Don't sell what you want. Sell what the customer needs. That's the only tip I can give you after, whatever successes and failures I have seen in my career. So, be as technical as the customer wants, and give him the sales talk as much as is needed. So everything has to be in balance. So it is like visiting a general physician. When you visit a general doctor, आपके family doctor के पास आप जाते हो for any small illness of your headache or fever. So he gives you all kinds of colored medicines. So colored gems होती हैं छोटी छोटी. So most of the times, 1 or 2 tablets may do your job, but he'll give you 4 or 5. Just to, play with your psychology that, yes, doctor ने 4-5 tablets दी, अब तो मुझे अच्छा होना ही है. And you are so happy taking that, packet to your home, and you are, half recovered by the time you reach home without taking the medicines. So it is simple, keep your psychology straight, try and understand the customer's mind, and, sell what he wants. Don't sell what you are going to sell it to him. So that's it. Keep it simple.
Thank you, sir. That was
Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Anup. I have a question to all the panelists. We have discussed more about the challenges. Can you little bit, emphasize on the opportunities in this prospect? And special question to Manik ji. How do you do the job and then insist client to go for tender? What is the secret behind it? थोड़ा सा हमको भी सिखाइए.
Now you're opening the Pandora's box, huh? Abhi Manik ji will be in a,
So I think we normally give the system on demo to him, and then we take it back. So we don't just give it to him. Of course, there's a process, and we follow that process. So there's that, but
absolutely political, Manik. Absolutely political and diplomatic answer. Huh?
No, so I think, be it a government customer, jokes apart, be it a government customer or a private customer, I think we need to support our customers out of the way sometimes. And if they are asking for some help, which is something is needed at that time, we are always available. And that is, that should be the approach of us. And of course, we have to go through, whatever the process is of tender and things like that. And of course, please understand, if you get the job done of the customer at the time when he was in dire need, he would go out of the way to support you and make sure that you get that job. Maybe you don't get that job, that's another thing. But then most of the time, he will go out of the way to support you. So I think it's a two-way street. So you have to support, and then you and that's about it. I mean, there's no rocket science in it. Yeah.
No, as Manik has already mentioned, that handling government customers is very, very difficult because they want to see what. And as an organization, you should have that capability of showing them before what they are going to buy. And if you can do it, you have the business. It may come in month, it may come in 2 months, it may come in 3 months, but the business is, freezed for you. So that's what I'm sure, Manik has been doing all these years, that you show the customers, you give them things what they want to use, and I'm sure they are going to like it and they are going to buy it.
Thank you, sir.
Did we answer your question?
Yeah, that is the second question. The first question, what is on generic perspective, not only government, what is the opportunities?
See, opportunities for that, you need to have a, very high-end smelling sense. So you should keep smelling these kind of opportunities in the market for all the sales guys. So आप अपने सिर्फ नाक को खुली रखिए, स्मेल करते रहिए, कहीं ना कहीं से कुछ ना कुछ स्मेल तो मिल ही जाएगी आपको. But yeah, you have to be at the right place at the right time, which I, discussed at the very beginning with Naidu ji, that how do you be at the right place at the right time. So if you are at the right place and at the right time, you are going to smell the opportunity.
Can I add something to that?
Oh, please, sir, all yours.
So I think that, at times, there's never the right time, there's never the right place. At times, that's what I feel. You need to create the right time and right place for yourself. And how you do that is that, you need to keep doing your bit. Like Mustafa ji said that, you need to think from the customer's perspective. You need to be on his side. You need to sell him what he wants rather than what you want. So in that process, so you are meeting an architect. Now you need to think, what value can I add to him? Am I wasting his time? So I keep telling my sales team that, just imagine you yourself walking in to a cabin where you are the boss. Will you entertain yourself? Would you want to meet this same person again? And if the answer is no, then, you can't expect a yes from the other person also. So I think you need to create that value, keep creating that value, and there can be many, many ways of creating that value. Not just talk about sales, projects, but, like understanding his, his challenges, his problems, and see how we can support him in those problems. So I think the right time will come, to your door. The right opportunity will come to your door when it has to come. But you have to keep doing your bit. This is very, very important. Yeah.
Again, it boils back to empathy. Empathize with the customer. Think what he is thinking. And I'm sure you can create an opportunity for yourself. Years back in a lot of sales training, we were told that the customer, buys you first when you enter into his room, and then he buys your company. So make yourself sellable, and opportunity is created, boss.
Thank you.
I would like to, since I am dealing in government, but previously I was also like you. Customer is a very big कष्ट से मरा हुआ बंदा है, right? So you have to relieve him from his कष्ट. How? You never go as a MR. Never go as a MR and sell your medicine. Never do that. You go, talk, see his table, his ins and around, find out his interest, talk about those topics. Yes, sir, I have not come to just, I said a hello to you. He will wonder, what is the foolish person is coming here asking me to say hello? Yeah. Then catch his nerves. What exactly is having pain? Talk about that. And then while going, say, sir, I had come just to introduce, but I feel you are a bit of busy. Next time I'll catch up. He'll say, no, sit down. Batao kya kya layo? If you go and start attacking, sir, मैं MR हूँ, मेरी कंपनी का नाम ये है, खांसी आएगा तो ये दवा लेना है ना? ये लेना है. Never do that. You go and sell, sir, I am from this company. No. Try to sell yourself with his requirement. Make him feel happy that somebody has come not for the selling the product, but feeling me. This is a basic psychology effect. Everybody wants, कोई आया तो अच्छा सेल वाला है, वो मेरे इंजीनियर से मिला देना उसको. You are out. You are not allowed to come in there. Right? This all we have seen in our life. Yeah, so this happens, and there is no books. Okay, there is no law. If you can sell, people say that you can sell the fridge to Eximo. That is the skill. So there is sell and marketing, two different things. That all presence of mind. है ना, गुजराती में कहावत है, ग्राहक જોઈને पड़ी का बांधवा, मतलब ग्राहक को देख के वो पुड़ी बांधने का है, यू अंडरस्टैंड। तो कोई लॉ नहीं चलता है उधर। आपने MBA कर लिया कैम्ब्रिज से और कस्टमर जाके उसको आपको हिंदी में शुरू किया, क्या बेचना है भाई, तुम्हारा 90% वहाँ डाउन कर दिया उसने, ख़त्म। सो यू हैव टू रीड पर्सन, फील उसको क्या प्रॉब्लम का है, कहाँ प्रॉब्लम है, देन यू स्टार्ट सेलिंग योर प्रोडक्ट। नेवर बी MR। थैंक यू।
Amazing, customer देख के पूरी बांधो. That gives answer to all the questions for salespeople. Yeah, do we have any more questions? Okay. All are happy. All have got what they wanted. So we end up this panel discussion. Thank you all for being so patient and being so interactive with us. And thank you all the panel members for accommodating me as your moderator. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mustafa. Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your
everyone.
insights.
Thank you.
And I would request the panelists and the moderator to be here for the small token of appreciation. Audience, please give a huge round of applause. Such a wonderful session. Request the audience also to follow us on social media channels at AVICN Expo Magazine.